This is our news, the weekend edition, and on the broadcast tonight, a former Court of Appeal president weighs in on the immigration debate. Plus, enough with the blame game. The PLP chairman hits back at the finance minister over the mid-year budget debate. And a new way for Bahamians to get around, we introduce you to Bahamas Ride.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks for joining us. Topping the news, former Court of Appeal President Dame Joan Sawyer weighing in on recent comments made by Attorney General Carl Bethel on the Jane Ronnie Jane Charles case. Dame Joan expressed surprise over the AG's out-of-court's comments. Jasmine Brown reports.
The recent case of John Ronnie John Charles, who was reportedly born in the Bahamas, deported to Haiti, then returned to the Bahamas after a ruling from Supreme Court Justice Gregory Hilton, has been the most high-profile immigration case to date. The landmark ruling has fueled the ongoing immigration debate. Last month, Hilton granted a partial stay of his January ruling, releasing the government from his order to grant the 35-year-old status, pending the government's appeal of his judgment. The AG has made several comments following Hilton's ruling, a move Dame Joan questions.
With regard to the matter of the matter that's before the court, I'm not getting into the matter before the court. I'm dealing with the comments that were made by none other than the Attorney General. He says he's going to fight it. Well, really? Is that what a Queen's Counsel says about a court's judgment? My point is, leaders are required to exercise not only wisdom, but patience. And they're also required to exercise some kind of freedom for other people to think.
As the debate over immigration rages on, Dame Joan says she does not see what all the big fuss is about, insisting we are all foreigners here.
Why all this now sort of feeding the frenzy of the Bahamian against the foreigners? We were all foreigners here. The original inhabitants of these islands were killed out. They died out. We came here, my ancestors on one side came here as slaves or in chains. The other side came here as exploiters. So what right have we got to say we're not going to treat people humanely? And if the law is that every person in the Bahamas is entitled to be heard by a court before their rights are determined, who gives anybody the right to shortchange that?
She adds that the illegal immigration issue has been persistent under consecutive administrations.
Why is it that there's so much debate about the non-Bahamians, particularly Haitians, in this country being here, when this has been going on for years under all administrations?
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Fred Mitchell is slamming Finance Minister Peter Turnquest over his mid-year budget communication. The Deputy Prime Minister had shared how the government has been dealing with the millions of dollars worth of bills left by the previous administration. But after having been in office for 10 months, the PLP chairman is saying enough of the blame game. Our Kyle Joaquin reports.
The public is getting tired of this. I mean, this, old story and all the rest of it.
Mitchell said, of course, the government would seek to divert attention from issues surrounding the Oban Energies deal, which has become a sore point for the Minutes administration.
Well, it's two things. It masks the fact that they have nothing to do. They have no program. That's the first thing. I mean, we listened to his statement, and the only difference between our deficit projections last year and the ones this year is there was no hurricane. Because if you look at all the reports, it's the hurricane that made the difference. Country was shut down in October of 2016 for 4 days. $100 million of revenue lost, not collected, can't collect. $150 million had to be borrowed to make sure the country got back up off its feet. So the result will be a deficit.
Since coming to office, the FNM-led government has passed several resolutions in Parliament to borrow money, millions at a time. Mitchell, a two-time cabinet minister, said borrowing is nothing new for government, but he said don't validate it by ridiculing the previous administration.
If you want no development, then don't borrow. It's as simple as that. The country will be exactly in the state as it is now with the roads, where the roads fall apart. That's called deferred maintenance. If you want to save money, you just don't maintain anything. Just let it fall apart. Country can't afford to do that.
and as he lamented the overhanging unpaid commitments left by the Christie administration and the fiscal noose this represents for the Minnis administration, the Deputy Prime Minister said the government discovered leases for properties nearing $30 million that no one has ever set foot in. For one building, Turnquest revealed the government owes $13 million.
The problem is we have a bean counter, who is the Minister of Finance, who thinks that they're neat lines and so on and so forth. Government is a people-oriented business. That's what it is. It's not about lines and, balance books and all the rest of it. And when the government is called upon to do something, for example, they have to spend $40 million to fix the glass window bridge. Otherwise, commerce comes to a stop in Eleuthera. What are you going to do? You have to borrow it. If you don't have it, you have to borrow it. And if the country is creditworthy, just borrow the money and develop it, because it'll serve the long-term interest of the country.
And as the government nears its one-year anniversary in office, Mitchell is calling for more clarification on the Minnis administration's plans for the next 4 years.
That's my basic point. Tell us what you're going to do. You must govern. Stop going and digging up in the garbage and saying, oh, look what I found, because so far you've found zilch, nothing, absolutely nothing. All it is salacious stories, which is feeding into a narrative, or you think it's feeding into a narrative, which will cause you to win the next election. But people will get tired of that.
For our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, a new Bahamian business is transforming the transportation sector with the help of Alive's mobile network. Just last week, Bahamas Ride announced a partnership with Alive that they hope will take off next month. Our Christina Dragovich tells us more.
Ready, set, ride. Bahamas Ride President Gavin Christie says he and his partner recognized the challenge in securing a taxi outside of the traditional tourist zones. Thus, the concept for Bahamas Ride was born.
Bahamas Ride is a Bahamian-owned and operated app that will modernize the country's transportation industry. The app will allow locals and visitors to book a licensed taxi driver with just a click of a button, anytime, anywhere.
Christie says the on-demand taxi service will be safe, reliable, and regulated, accepting any form of payment, from credit and debit cards to cash.
Like our official wireless telecommunications partner Alive, we believe in Bahamian. We believe that Bahamian taxi drivers are more than just taxi drivers. They are businessmen and women, entrepreneurs, and most importantly, ambassadors. And with Bahamas Ride, they will become a part of an elite service that is changing the face of the transportation industry.
Taxi drivers are also expected to get a huge boost from the introduction of the app, including less downtime, increased revenue, a driver rating system, as well as certain perks from Alive.
We've been working very hard behind the scenes with Gavin and his team, and welcome aboard to the Alive family, Gavin, to bring his dream and Bahamas Ride Company's dream to fruition. We've formed a very exciting partnership. We're looking forward to going on this journey together with you, Gavin, and the team.
Bahamas Ride, we're going to put in the latest smartphone in the vehicle that the app is based on. So we see in excess of 1,500 taxi drivers and businesses that will, through the partnership with Bahamas Ride, have that in their vehicles.
The app will officially launch April 12th on New Providence and will be available for download in the Apple App Store and Google Play stores. Grand Bahama, Eleuthera, Abaco, and Exuma are up next for the app's rollout. But Chief Alive business developer Gravette Brown says there's a lot more ahead for Alive.
The first premise of this partnership of these developments is really to work with Bahamian developers like Gavin, who are innovating and providing technological solutions to the common problems of our time. We're very excited that we have this opportunity to work with Bahamas Ride and Gavin, and they've come up with such an innovative product that really solves problems that Bahamian consumers face.
Reporting for our news, I'm Christina Dragovich.
All right, thanks, Christina. And we'll take a break here, but still to come on our news. A leading financial expert calls on government to review the country's tax system. Plus, Alive launches its push to talk services for businesses. We'll tell you about it when our news returns.